Welcome to Uncle Jimmy's podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Uncle Jimmy's podcast, episode 9. I just want to give a big thank you to all the followers out there, those who have downloaded, listened, to those who have called and texted, those with constructive criticism, and those with words of encouragement. We have finally gone worldwide. Well, let's not go that far. We've had some downloads in Berlin, Germany, and in Vienna, Austria. Thank you, and welcome in. This episode, we will first talk about a disturbing story out of Dedham. Then, the violence that has plagued Boston this past Sunday night. Supposedly, the comms on one of the police channels went dark. 2 Boston city councilors are calling for an investigation into what happened. Also, 3 hearings slated for the city council this week have been canceled. And what is going on? Mayor Wu, I believe, is trying to push everything till after the September primaries. We'll also get into the September primaries for mayor and city council. So let's dive in. So on Friday, the 15th, state troopers that were assigned to Troop H, the community action team, received reports of several motor vehicle thefts, including a white Volkswagen Jetta stolen out of Boston, a Jeep Grand Cherokee stolen out of Milton, and a white Honda CR-V stolen out of Braintree. Just before 10 p.m., the team of troopers located the Cherokee and the CR-V in an empty parking lot on a dead-end street in Dedham. Once the vehicles were confirmed stolen, troopers secured the scene for processing. Shortly afterward, a silver Honda Pilot drove down the dead-end street, but once it saw troopers, it reversed direction back to the main road. The troopers believed this vehicle was returning to the parking lot to pick up the stolen vehicles and initiated a motor vehicle stop. Before the troopers were able to approach the vehicle to speak with the occupants, they noticed several occupants in the vehicle moving around, moving frantically. Before they reached the car, the rear door opened, and a young male jumped out, fled. Troopers detained 3 other individuals who also tried to flee. Once the troopers got the scene under control, there were 3 people arrested, with 1 suspect still outstanding. They talked to the driver, who apparently was a rideshare driver. She had picked them up, not sure where, they didn't really get into it, and she drove them over to Dedham to the dead-end street. She had no clue what was going on. And when they got the kids out of the car, they found 4 firearms where the suspects were seated, and an additional search led to 3 other firearms being located. Several of the weapons contained large-capacity magazines. One of the weapons' serial numbers was defaced, and another was found with the switch device. So let me just get into it quickly about these 4 people that were arrested. 1 that was later apprehended, the 3 at the scene, then 1 later behind a business off of River Street. So these kids weren't going to get these stolen vehicles back and go for a joyride, obviously. They stole them, they stashed them, and then they're going over there with 4 weapons plus an additional 3. They're going to wreak havoc. They're going to raise hell. It reminds me of, the stolen car. What are they going to do? They're going to go out, commit a drive-by, commit a shooting. Ricky! Great job by the state police, Dedham, and Boston police in this effort. But also, part of the standard arrest process, when they were searching the suspects, they discovered a 40-millimeter round. Police transported all 4 suspects for booking. But here's the problem. No information is available regarding their identities because they are juveniles. Kids. The suspects will be charged with possession of a loaded machine gun, 1 count, possession of a large-capacity feeding device, 3 counts, possession of ammunition without an FID card, 4 counts, possession of a firearm without an FID card, 4 counts, carrying a loaded firearm without a license, 4 counts, and defacing a firearm serial number with 1 count. This is just absolutely heartbreaking, to see that these kids have turned to the streets, turned to carrying guns, stealing cars. It's really a tough situation with cuts in the city of Boston, with cuts elsewhere all around Massachusetts for programs for kids, but this is not the answer for them to arm themselves, take to the streets, steal cars. These 4 kids were hell-bent on causing some damage. And thank God the swift thinking of the police to apprehend them and take them off the streets. But they're juveniles, and they've been transported to DYS custody, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it's absolutely ridiculous. They should be at home, getting ready for bed, playing some video games, getting ready for Saturday morning cartoons, getting ready for Saturday morning sports, Saturday morning with the family. Nope, they're out trying to retrieve stolen cars with weapons that were going to cause some real problems for a lot of people. And thank God the cops were able to do their thing. One of the things that they did have was a switch. And I don't know if you guys know what a switch is, but it refers to a switch, a Glock switch. It's a device that converts a semi-automatic handgun into a machine gun. It is illegal under federal law. Possessing a switch can result in up to 10 years in prison, and using a pistol with a switch in a crime can lead to a mandatory 30-year sentence. So again, big shout out to the Mass State Police. Big shout out to Dedham and Boston Police for preventing a situation that was about to unfold with these kids. But again, juveniles, where's the accountability? Where are their parents? Where are their caregivers? Where's their guidance? Where are their role models to speak up and let these kids know that this path that they're on of stealing cars and carrying guns only leads to one thing, which is jail. And if not jail, you end up dead. I know a lot of these gangs recruit these kids to go out and do the shootings because they're juveniles, but something needs to change here. I remember when I was a kid, when I was a youth, or as Joe Pesci said in the movie Utes, a couple Utes, I was looking forward to Saturday morning cartoons, getting out, playing soccer, getting out up to the tenny to play tennis ball, tennis ball, baseball, getting down to Tui to play some hoop. We were looking forward to getting out and having some fun, not going out and causing some damage like these kids. The worst thing we did was, probably have some drinks and smoke some pot or something when we were kids, but nothing to the effect of what these kids are up to, which is absolutely terrifying to think for the amount of destruction that these kids were about to cause. And then we're going to get into the violence that happened Sunday night. Shortly before midnight at 11:56 p.m., officers in Boston responded to a report of a person stabbed outside the Home Run Cafe at 1269 Massachusetts Avenue. They found a victim suffering from multiple apparent stab wounds. The victim was rushed to a local hospital, and there was no immediate word on their condition. Police believe the stabbing stemmed from a verbal altercation outside the establishment. No arrests have been made. And then police said officers were called to the scene of 4 shootings, all in the city's Dorchester neighborhood. A man was shot in the area of 20 Ellington Street in Dorchester around 1 a.m. A man was shot in the area of 55 Kingsdale Street in Dorchester around 2:50 a.m. A man was shot in the area of 2 Barry Park in Dorchester around 2:52 a.m. And a person was shot in the area of 98 Talbot Ave in Dorchester around 2:53 a.m. All of the shooting victims were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. No arrests have been made in the shootings, but police say that the facts and circumstances surrounding some of these shootings appear to be potentially related. And then there was a firearm arrest. The Boston police reported to a crash in the area of Dorchester and Talbot Ave around 1:24 a.m. They recovered a loaded firearm from the rear passenger seat pouch of a wrecked vehicle, according to police. One occupant was taken into custody and placed under arrest for firearm-related offenses. That's 4 people shot in Dorchester. Dorchester is where I call home. One at 1 a.m., 2:50, then 2:52, 2:53 a.m. Just absolutely outrageous. 4 people shot in the span of an hour and 53 minutes with 3 of the shootings coming 3 minutes apart from each other. When will this violence stop? When will, people getting shot in the streets cause an uproar? When will people start taking back the streets that are ours? Violence is not the answer. Violence is never the answer. But it's just getting out of control, whether it's here in Boston, whether it's in New York, all across this great country of ours. According to the American Public Health Association, firearm violence remains a leading cause of premature death and a pressing public health crisis. The good thing is that overall gun violence across America has declined in early to mid-2025, a reversal from previous years. And homicides and assaults are down. Homicides in 30 major U.S. cities dropped by 17%, and gun assaults decreased by 21% in the first half of 2025 compared to 2024. So it's starting to trend in the right direction, but also they need to put the guns down. The violence needs to stop. We all need to come together as a community and solve these issues, whether it's here in Boston and Dorchester and in Mattapan, or it's in New York or in Idaho, wherever it may be. The gun violence needs to stop. We need to stop losing our young children, our young men on the streets that are being killed. This needs to stop. It's senseless violence. We need to do better. We need to be better as a country. But the big issue in Boston is the night of the violence. 2 Boston city councilors are calling for an investigation into why they say police radios went silent during a violent night in Dorchester. You have Erin Murphy and Ed Flynn. Ed Flynn's the city councilor for District 2, and Erin Murphy's the city councilor at large. They wrote a letter August 18th, 2025 to Commissioner Michael A. Cox. Dear Commissioner Cox, last night's violence at Franklin Park combined with the breakdown of the Boston Police Department's radio system demands immediate attention and accountability. While officers were working to keep the crowd safe following the Dominican Festival, 5 people were shot. At the same time, the department's main radio channel feed failed for nearly 30 minutes, forcing officers to respond to an active shooting without reliable communication tools. As city councilors, we are deeply concerned that public safety systems failed at such a critical moment. Just last week, I chaired a council hearing on the outdated EMS phone system and the urgent need to upgrade Boston's public safety infrastructure. These failures highlight the broader problem of underinvestment in essential tools that our first responders need to do their job safely and effectively. We respectfully request that the Boston Police Department conduct a full investigation into what caused the radio system breakdown, how it affected the response, and the steps being taken to ensure this does not happen again. We also ask that the findings be reported back to the council and the public. Boston officers deserve the tools and support they need to protect our neighborhoods, and our residents deserve the assurance that public safety systems will not fail in moments of crisis. That was from Erin J. Murphy, City Councilor at Large, and Ed Flynn, City Councilor District 2. I don't know why, and I'm pretty shocked that all councilors aren't calling for this, an investigation into this. Supposedly a radio channel that they use goes down for 30 minutes. It goes dark. They have to switch over to another one. I mean, we live in a prosperous city that has some money. We should be giving our cops, firefighters, EMTs, the best of the best equipment. They should have the best radios. Channels shouldn't be going dark. The firefighters should have the best gear. EMTs, same thing. It shouldn't be outdated services. We should all be up and running and on top of things here in Boston, and just to hear that, it's just disturbing to hear that a main radio channel went down for 30 minutes, supposedly. But according to Mary Ellen Burns, Boston Police Department's Chief of Internal and External Communications, the radio system itself was not offline. One channel was impacted, she said. When the channel was fixed, officers resumed using it, according to Burns. We have an existing protocol/operational backup that if one channel has an issue, officers are notified to switch to another channel right away. And that is what occurred in this case. Burns wrote in an email to Boston.com, that lapse that you're referring to was very, very short. Superintendent-in-Chief Philip Owens told reporters Tuesday. Immediately, they switched over the channel to another channel and it was quickly resolved. Owens said communication was compromised for a matter of seconds. There you go. It was compromised for a matter of seconds. I don't give a fuck if it's 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The Boston Police Department, the cops that are out there fighting crime, trying to keep us safe, trying to keep neighborhoods safe. No communication should be compromised at all. there needs to be a hearing on this, and there needs to be a hearing ASAP. The Boston Police Patrolmen's Association on Twitter said more often than not, large-scale festivals spreading already too thin police resources lead to violence. Yesterday's Dominican Festival is the latest example. Last night, 4 people were shot in less than 2 hours, begging the question, when do we stop this insanity? And then the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association on Twitter said, if last night's violence wasn't bad enough, officers had to overcome yet another inexplicable failure of the BPD Communications Division as the main radio channel used for the festival went dark for close to 30 minutes before it was restored. Our officers deserve better. No doubt, our officers deserve better. Our neighborhoods deserve better. The people of Boston deserve better. This is out of control. Councilor Flynn clarified Tuesday that we don't know exactly how long the channel was inoperable for. He learned of the issue from several police officers who reached out to say they were having a difficult time communicating that night. Nonetheless, it was a violent night, Flynn said, and the radio channel failure forced officers to respond without reliable communication tools. Flynn said that him and Murphy's letter wasn't intended to point fingers rather than to find the root of the problem before it happens again. Bang, that's the hammer right on the nail right there. He wants to find the root of the problem before it happens again. It shouldn't happen again, but here he is calling for a hearing to look at the failures here to make sure it doesn't happen again. Councilor Ed Flynn is a guy that cares about the city. He cares about his constituents. Councilor Murphy, the same. Where are the rest of the city councilors to call for this? It's like 2 of them are calling for it and the rest of them are just sitting back, stand pat, And Flynn said the major part of the letter we sent is calling for an investigation to determine exactly what happened with specific evidence clearly stating what happened. He said it's going to help the Boston Police Department learn from this. It's not about placing blame. It's not about downplaying the incident. It's about getting the accurate information so our police officers are safe. Again, so our police officers are safe. So our police officers are safe. The Boston Police did not comment on the cause of the radio issue or whether officials are open to the council's suggested full investigation. So here we go. Who knows what's going to happen with this, but there needs to be an investigation. Sunday's problem comes just after the Boston Police encrypted its radio from analog system to digital starting on August 9th. So again, I applaud, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Murphy calling for an investigation into this because A, it's going to keep the city safe, and B, it's going to keep the cops safe. We want everyone safe. We want the cops to come home just the way they left. We want every cop to come home that night. We want every civilian to come home. We want every neighborhood to be safe in the city. It's about time that we do the right thing here. Give it an investigation. See what the issue was. See what the root cause was. Fix it. Fix the problem. But a lot of these problems that are going on in Boston right now, and I told you a couple podcasts ago that I was voting for Mayor Wu, but with a lot of recent things going on, I am thinking hard and long about who I will be voting for mayor. Mayor Wu does not have my vote. I'm just one guy, but I'm letting you know. I spoke highly of her. I thought she was doing some great things, but now with these past couple hearings that have been canceled, there was 5 hearings this week, I believe. 3 out of 5 of them were canceled. And they've been having issues with getting Mayor Wu and her staff to some of these meetings. And I believe she's pushing it off till after the primaries in September. September 9th of the primaries, I think she's pushing it off because I think Josh Kraft is gaining on her. But I don't know. I just know that when it comes to voting for mayor, Boston City Council, elections matter, regardless if you're voting on the local level, the state level, the federal level. Elections matter. So I ask and I tell all the people that are going to be voting, go out. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Joe Blow about who to vote for. Go and do your own research and vote for who you think can do the best job in the city of Boston. But right now, I'm having a tough time with Mayor Wu, who is pushing things off. Big things that are going on in this city, big issues that she's not responding to. And, it needs to change. It all comes from the top. There was a recent story about a level 3 sex offender that was working in the Boston parks, in with the Parks and Rec for a year. I don't know how he got the job or what happened there, but the city should have did a better job of weeding it out. A level 3 sex offender working in parks where kids are playing, where kids are playing baseball. It's totally unacceptable. So the city dropped the ball here. You can go online, you can look up the guy, you can look up the story, but he lives in Dorchester. He's listed as a level 3 sex offender on the state sex offender registry board. Per city payroll records, he appears to have been hired by the city of Boston last year, and per the mayor's office, he worked there until this past Tuesday. City Hall confirmed Thursday that the man was working for the city, but that his employment ended this past Tuesday, August 12th. The mayor's office did not provide a reason for his departure, nor did it say whether he was terminated or voluntarily left the City Hall position. He worked as a heavy motor equipment operator and a laborer for the city's Parks and Recreation Department. It oversees parks and playgrounds and family-oriented programming per city payroll records. He is not listed on prior year's records. He has 2 convictions for indecent assault and battery on a child under 14 years of age, and 1 conviction for open and gross lewdness and lascivious behavior. These convictions are from February 6, 2013, according to the state sex offender registry board. He is a level 3 sex offender, which he is the most dangerous sex offender level. Those registered offenders are considered to have a high risk of reoffending and pose a high degree of danger to the public, according to the state's website. Again, this man was employed by the city of Boston to work in parks. This has to be looked at. Again, there has to be a hearing on it. And from my understanding, that one of the hearings this week that was canceled, 3 out of 5 hearings this week were canceled. There was one to discuss the impacts of Corey checks, which with this man, Corey, he passed a Corey check because you need to pass it to get a job. Who knows who pulled what strings or what was going on there, but there's something really wrong there. And then the other one was on towing practices in the city. They were both canceled. It's just getting a bit out of control. The city of Boston, again, hires a level 3 sex offender to work in parks. And it all starts at the top, And talking about the canceling of meetings, over the past month, we have heard on multiple occasions that to request or to postpone or cancel council hearings due to the lack of availability of top staff, and to reschedule any hearings for what is coincidentally after the primary election date. That's what John Fitzgerald wrote. John Fitzgerald represents District 3, where I live, and it's just, he does a great job. He's running unopposed. He'll be elected again. But, again, there's a lot of hearings being canceled. Mayor Wu defended her administration, noting that her team in 2025 have participated in 122 city council hearings to date, including 8 hearings just in the last week alone on issues such as the use of surveillance technology, impacts of social media on BPS students, city employees' payroll, sidewalk accessibility, environmental grants, and affordable housing. It's just, something that doesn't seem right to me with her saying that, my team's been there. And then she says, Wednesday, a Wu spokesperson says that the council can hold hearings whenever they want on any topics at any time they wish to schedule them without needing any approval or coordination with the administration. The mayor's staff, we do our best to be responsive and prioritize their requests alongside the other important duties the department must carry out to serve residents across the city, the spokesperson added. But in rare instances, asking for rescheduling if there is a compelling reason to do so, the spokesperson added. Again, to me, it's like cancel the 3 this week, 3 out of 5. The primary's coming up on the 9th, which we're going to get into in a little bit, and some of the councilors are pissed. You have John Fitzgerald was quoted as saying, "This has become an egregious overreach of a manufactured excuse not to hear the issues before our city. In my district specifically, the issues of mass and cast and pedestrian safety loom large, and are issues we cannot afford to postpone. It's taken too long to respond to these issues as it is. That's coming from John Fitzgerald. He also had to say, I have 3 young children who I am trying to create memories with over the summer months, like anyone else. I am in an election year, and I am finding the time to make myself available to host or participate in these hearings, Fitzgerald said. I find it hard to believe others cannot do the same. The serious issues facing this city should not be manipulated to advance political outcomes. And that, I think, is a shot across the bow there from Fitzgerald to Wu, saying, let's push Wu saying, let's push these hearings off till after the primary on the 9th of September. And he's saying, no, let's get this shit done now because these are pressing issues. And I hate to say it, but politicians need to realize that, especially the Boston City Council, that when you get elected, it's not a 9 to 5. It's not an 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. It's a 24/7, 365. Then when you become mayor, the city never sleeps. The city never shuts down. Unfortunately, you wanted that job. You ran for it. Congratulations, you won. But now it's time to step the fuck up. It's time to be there. It's time to be there in this need. It's time to be there when they're calling for important hearings and they're being canceled. 3 out of 5 this week are canceled or postponed. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. You need to get boots on the ground. Mayor Wu has enough staff. She needs to get her staff to the meetings. No more canceling. No more postponing. Let's have the hearings because we need to fix this city. We need to fix what's wrong on these streets. And enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're going to get back to politics. The city has primaries coming up on the 9th. At the end of this podcast, we're going to talk about it. But, I'm going to circle back to, some more violence in the city on Thursday. 2 people are facing charges after a shooting prompted a major police response. Police responded to Charlotte Street around 4:50 p.m. after a report that a man was shot multiple times. He was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. And then just Friday morning, a female was shot to the head on Crawford Street near Humboldt Ave. The BPD rolled in. There was a heavy response. There was 11 rounds fired. That person was taken to the hospital and is still alive, I believe. And then just Friday morning, the state police were investigating a stabbing at Logan Airport on Friday morning. They responded to the airport for the reported stabbing and found 1 person suffering from stab wounds, the state police spokesperson said. It's just getting out of control. I talked about the violence on, Sunday into Monday. The violence Thursday. Friday morning, someone shot. Friday morning, someone stabbed. We got to do better. We have to step it up. One of the biggest things that I can't stand is when the, juveniles alone or even, people that got caught with a gun. In Massachusetts, the mandatory minimum, people may not know, for unlawfully carrying a firearm is 18 months in jail with the possibility of a longer state prison sentence. The sentence cannot be suspended, and parole or other early release options are not available until the 18th month period is served. So right there, a mandatory minimum is 18 months if you get caught with a gun. So all those 4 juveniles that were caught, they should be spending 18 months. Anyone in the city of Boston that's caught with a gun, an unlawful gun, unlawfully carrying a gun, needs to do 18 months in jail. And I'm sick and tired of hearing that there's not enough space. There's not enough, in these lenient DAs giving these people a break when they should be behind bars. The problem is that we need to go in, the Boston police, which do a hell of a job, and they need to keep doing what they're doing, but they also need to start taking these people off the streets, which they're doing. The police are, but the DAs are being weak. The courts are being weak. I've read many stories where it's a revolving door. They're in, they're out. They're in, they're out. They don't serve the full time. They get out, and then they're back doing it again. Enough is enough. We need to get together. The city needs to stand together as one, and we need to fight back against these criminals, and we need to stop. The violence needs to stop. All of it. The stalling of City Hall needs to stop. We all need to get together. We all need to do what's best for this city, and we all need to get on the same page. Boston's the best city in the world. I've lived here my whole life, 41 years. I love it. I've moved from, my childhood home on Helena Road to Blackwell Street. Then I moved 2 blocks up, 2 blocks down, 2 blocks left, 2 blocks right to where I'm currently living now. I still live in the city of Boston. I love the city of Boston, and I'm glad to call it home. Sorry about that, everybody. Just getting a little tuned up. Welcome back to Uncle Jimmy's podcast. We're going to get into the last segment here, and we're going to get right into it about the upcoming primary, September 9th. In Boston alone, there's 498 voters. 174,046 Democrats, 18,673 Republicans, 1,140 Libertarians, and 241,970 that are unenrolled. I'm just one of 438,498. And this is just my take. A 41-year-old from the city of Boston. I've been here my whole life. If you want change starts at the ballot box. Go out and vote. Go out and volunteer on a campaign. Go out, make phone, do the phone banks, do the literature drops. Get out there. The only thing that, if you want change is you can be part of that, wheel. You can be the cog. You can be a cog in the wheel when you go out and you volunteer your time for a candidate that you love, for a candidate that you like, for a candidate that you think can do the job to the best of their ability. Nobody's perfect. I'm not pointing fingers here at the Wu administration. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying the Wu administration can step it up and do a better job. And she's not, right now, she's just stalling and waiting, waiting it out, as people like to say. But again, this is just my take on everything, Coming up, there's no primary there are primaries, but there's no challenges for District 3, John Fitzgerald. He's running unopposed. District 6, Benjamin J. Weber. He's running unopposed. District 8, you have Sharon Durkin, who I would love to be voted out. I'm not a big fan of hers. She is running unopposed. And then District 9, you have Liz Braden, who's running unopposed as well. So those are 4 shoo-ins right there that are going to be reelected. And let's get into it right now. We will save the best for last, which will be the mayor's race, the primary. So in District 1, I'm going to go through all the districts and let you know who the candidates are. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for because those are not my districts, but I will tell you who I do like, who I don't like. Or, if you don't hear me talk about them, I don't have an opinion. So let's start it off. District 1, you have Andretti, McDuffie, Stanziani, Ricardo, Rodriguez, and then you have the present district city councilor, Gabriela Coletta Zapata. District 2, you have Charles Jeffrey Delaney. You have present city district city councilor, who's also a veteran, Edward M. Flynn, who gets my vote. Eddie Flynn's a great guy. I've had many talks with him. He loves the city. He loves his constituents. He loves his neighborhood. He's a chip off the old block like his old man. He's just a great guy. And if you're in District 2, vote for Ed Flynn. That's who I'm going for. That's who I'm rooting for. Good old Eddie Flynn. And then you have Brian Matthew Foley, who's also running in District 2. District 4, you have Brian J. Worrell, who's the present district city councilor. I'm a big fan of Brian J. Worrell. I've met him many times, many conversations. He's a smart guy. You also have Helen Y. Cameron for District 4, and then Jawan Skeens. I didn't say his middle name because I didn't want to mess it up, but that's for District 4. District 5, you have Winston Pierre. You have Enrique Pepin, who's the present district city councilor, and then Sharon L. Hinton as well for District 5. Up next, we have District 7, who the seat is vacated. So you have no incumbent. So you have Saeed Ibdikarim. I butchered that name. I apologize. You have Minyad Culpepper. You have Samuel Hurtado. And again, these are all for District 7. You have Taclad Court, Saeed Ahmed. You have Natalie Juba Sutherland, District 7. Wawa Bell, District 7. I love that name, Wawa Bell. You have Shane Dwayne Nelson, District 7. He's a veteran. I don't know much about him, but he's a veteran, so, take a good look at him. You have Roy Owen Sr., District 7, Maverick Afonso, and then Jerome King for District 7. And then we're going to get into now the at-large. There's 4 seats that these candidates are running for. You have Frank Baker. He's a former district city councilor. He's running again. District 3 he represented. Now he's running citywide. And at-large, which means you represent the whole city. I love Frank. Frank's a great guy. He's been very honest to me from day one since he knocked on my door when he was running for District 3. He's, great guy, no nonsense. He's my type of guy. He'll be getting my vote. And then you have Rachel Nicole Mizelman, Alexander Valdez. He's out of District 5. Rachel Nicole Mizelman, whatever her name is, I'm sorry, I fucked it up, but she's District 1. Will Anua, District 3. I don't know much about them. Erin J. Murphy, who she's District 3, and she's a present Boston City Councilor at large. She's going to get my vote. I love Erin Murphy. She does great things for the city. She lives the job 24/7, 365. She's out there. You can see her in the mornings. You can see her at night. She's dedicated herself to the city, and she deserves to be reelected. She loves the city, and she does a great job. And then you have Henry Santana, who's from District 7. He's also a present city councilor. I don't know much about him. Then you have Yves Mary Jean, District 4. Then you have Ruth Z. Lugine, who's the present city councilor at large. Heard great things about her. She'll be getting my vote. And then you have Marvin D. Mathalia, who's a veteran. And then Julia Mahia, District 4, present city councilor at large. So again, for the 4 people I will be voting for city councilor at large: Frank Baker, loves the city. Erin Murphy lives, breathes, eats, and sleeps the city of Boston. She'll be getting my vote. Ruth Z, she'll be getting my vote. And I'm not sure on the 4th. I'm going to do some picking around. I'm going to do my own research, and I'm going to look it up and see who I'm going to vote for the 4th one. But, there's some definitely some people in the race. There's 10 people for 4 seats. I got 3 who I'm picking. Do your research. And then up next, we get to the mayoral primaries. You have Michelle Wu, who's the present mayor, who I don't think is doing a great job. I think she's letting everybody down in the city of Boston, and she needs to step it up. You have Josh Kraft, who I think is just using daddy's money for a run. I think he would have been better off served running for city council first, but he wants the big prize. He wants to run the city. I don't think he will get in, but, do your research on him. I've done some research. I like a lot of things that he's doing. Then you have Robert Capici, who's former district school committee member, and he's also a veteran. And then Domingos DeRosa, who's also District 5. Capucci, District 1. Josh Kraft comes from District 1. And Michelle Wu, who's the incumbent mayor, comes from District 5. From a recent poll, Suffolk University and the Boston Globe of July 21st, 2025, they surveyed 500 likely voters for the September preliminary election. You had Michelle Wu with 60%, Josh Kraft with 30%, DeRosa with 3%, Robert Capucci with 1%, undecided 7%. Key takeaways from the polling: the dominant incumbent, Mayor Wu, has maintained a strong double-digit lead throughout the year and enjoys a solid approval rating among likely voters. Wu holds strong leads across most demographics and party affiliations. Kraft, however, performs better with Republicans, independents, and voters in public safety households. Based on these results, Wu and Kraft are expected to finish as the top 2 candidates in the September 9th election, setting up a final race in November. And again, I'm not sure. I'm undecided when it comes to mayor. I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for. But I can tell everybody out there, if you want change, change comes at the ballot box. Change comes from getting out on those streets. If you pick a candidate that you love and you love what they're hearing, and you're a lot of people like to regurgitate what the candidates say, word for word. You have it in America right now with MAGA. They love everything Trump does. That's another discussion for another day. We're going to get into it, about Trump and Putin and the summit and Zelensky. Maybe early next week we're going to have a video podcast, hopefully. I'm not sure, but we will have a podcast on that coming up early next week, which will drop. And I'm thoroughly enjoying going through that. But again, the only way things can change in the city of Boston is if we all get together. Whoever wins the election, whoever loses the election, we need to stand by that. We need to stand up. We don't need to fight City Hall. This is a fight for the city of Boston. This is a fight for each and every one of us, each citizen of the city of Boston, to fight for the candidate that you feel can do the best job for you, your family, for your neighbors, for your brother, your sisters, your aunts and uncles. Here at Uncle Jimmy's podcast, we love politics. I grew up in it, in a big old household full of politics. But basically, being a Democrat my whole life jammed down my throat. I'm switching to an independent because things are getting different. The Democratic Party's gone away from us, and the Republican Party's gone away from everything right now is mushed and is fucked up. But I believe in America. I believe in Massachusetts. I believe in the great people of Boston. I believe that if we all stand together for the common goal of making Boston safe, making Boston the number one city, making it, safe for our kids, safe for our neighbors, if we just all stand up and stop fighting one another, stop trying to fight City Hall, and if we all just work together, we can make Boston a great city. The great city that it needs to be, the great city we need to show the world in the United States that we are, and we all need to love each other. We all need to spread love, not hate. Politics needs to stop dividing us. We need to agree to disagree and listen to people. If they're on the other side, listen to them. Give them your points. Listen to their points. Go back and forth. Have a fucking conversation. It doesn't need to be a fight. There's no reason to fight. There's no reason for violence in politics. In America, we've gone past that through those stages. January 6th you had a lot of politics and violence with the recent shootings in Minnesota. Politics and violence do not go hand in hand. There should be no violence in politics. We should all be able to have conversations as adults about who we like, who we don't like, who we disagree with, who we agree with. And what I think we need to do is start thinking about each and every one of each other. Yeah, right. There I go, fucking up again. And think about your neighbor. Think about your family. Think about this great city and what you can bring to the city. JFK said it. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I'm sitting here saying today, don't ask what Boston can do for you. Ask what you can do for Boston to make it a better place for you and your family, for your neighbors, friends, and everybody else. I love this city, and I'm going to be passionate about this city because this is all that I know. I've traveled the world. I've been to other states. I've been to other, towns. I love Boston. Boston's my favorite town. Not just because I grew up here, but because it turned me and made me into the man I am today. Whether it's with politics, whether it's with my union job, my passion for my family, my passion for politics, I love it. And again, people, let's agree to disagree. Let's agree to agree. Let's disagree to agree. Let's all get on the same page. Let's start having helpful, healthy dialogue when it comes to politics. I've been doing the job I've been doing for my local union for almost 20 years now. And, the healthy dialogue's gone out the window when it comes to politics. Again, unions aren't, Democrat or Republicans. Unions are the members. Just like, District 3 and District 4. It's not that we're Democrats or Republicans. We're Americans. We're people from the city of Boston. We're Bostonians. Let's start thinking like that. Instead of tearing each other down, let's pick each other up. And again, I'm going to end the podcast. But the hateful rhetoric going back and forth in D.C. is disgusting and it needs to stop. Both sides are to blame. Republicans, Democrats, again, stop thinking about the R, stop thinking about the D, and thinking about the constituents, because that's what it's all about. Think about the neighborhood you represent, the people you represent, the families you represent. We can all do better as in the city of Boston. We can all do better. As a state of Massachusetts, we can do better, and as a country, we can do better. And I know that day's coming. I have faith in America. I love America. Come on, people. Let's all get that healthy dialogue going, and let's love one another. Peace and love. Uncle Jimmy out.